In this video, we're going to talk about effect variations. Effect variations work a little bit like automations. They're going to allow you to change the effect assigned to a track as the score is playing. You can assign up to 4 different effect variations to a single track. All the effect variations you'll use are going to be entered in the Effects panel, which is the third panel on the left side of your project. This is where you'll be able to add some pedals, amps, and different types of effects to affect the sound you're working with. In this example, our guitar track comes with an overdrive pedal, an amp, and a reverb. Every track you create on a project will come with its own set of pedals and amps. Those settings can be changed. You can tweak every element individually. You may also delete an element of the effects chain or add a new one. For every track, you can enter up to 5 elements in the Effects panel. If you don't want to spend too much time tweaking, simply select one of the great sounding factory presets included in the software. In this case, let's assign to our guitar track a grunge sound. As you can see, the Effects panel has changed, now corresponding to the sound we loaded. Let's rename the grunge preset to something that is going to correspond to our project. We'll rename it as intro. That's the sound we'll use on the intro. The sound we just entered corresponds to the first variation. Let's now open the second variation. This variation is empty of any effects, so we can create a new effect change from scratch or simply load another preset. Let's load a new patch called Blues. Now that the effects chain is loaded, we're going to rename this preset to something that's going to correspond to our project. We'll rename it as Verse. This is the sound we'll use on the verse of the song. We now have 2 different variations, one corresponding to the intro of our song, the other one to the verse. By default, if you start playing a project, it will use the first variation. In this case, it's the intro. Let's now enter a change of sound so that the effect that we assign to the verse is going to be heard on the 5th measure. I'm going to place the cursor on the 5th measure, and we're going to indicate the software to play the sound that we set in variation 2 right on that measure. To do so, we're going to go into the Edit panel, Variations, and select the variation we wish to use, which is variation 2. We now have a track that is going to start being played with the first variation, which is the default variation, and as indicated, on the 5th measure, we're going to hear a change of sound, which is going to correspond to the second variation we entered.